Hey, so a while back, my son, he was probably 2.5 years old at the time. Um, any of your kids ever have like a favorite toy? Like that's their thing? My son had this. Well, it was Cookie Monster, and Cookie Monster talked, and he had a backpack, and get my cookies in me backpack, and you fed the Cookie Monster the cookies, and it went through his body, and then he made goofy sounds, and then it went into his backpack, and then you opened his backpack, and you got the cookies back out, and it was just a repeated cycle over and over again. For whatever reason, my son became incredibly attached. This was his thing. It was his toy. And then he watched Toy Story. If you haven't seen that movie, Toy Story is an animated movie about toys that are alive. And one of the characters in Toy Story, when the toy was broken, discarded the toy. And so Cookie Monster broke. And Easton comes holding Cookie Monster above his head, bawling with tears coming down his face. Daddy, we have to throw away. We have to throw away. And I'm like, what? First of all, let's get through the blubbering. What do you mean? We have to throw Cookie Monster away. Yeah, because he's broken. Of course, as I'm throwing him away, I flip it over and realize it's just batteries, right? It's just batteries. So we resurrected Cookie Monster. We're in a series about relationships called Some Assembly Required. And sometimes I think, just like we wanted to throw Cookie Monster away, we want to discard relationships when there's something not working in it, when there's something off, when something's not quite right, when really all it would take is replacing the batteries. And so instead of throwing the relationship away, we want to value that relationship, because if God is passionately pursuing us, we want to cherish everyone. That's one of our values here. So we don't want to throw it away. We need to go get some new batteries. It's the same thing like I resurrected a grill from the side of the road. Yeah, I'm not too proud to admit that I took a grill from somebody's trash pile. All it needed was a complete redo of everything. But after a natural gas conversion and a new top plate, we were good to go, right? Somebody was throwing it away. The relationship with a man and his grill is very particular, by the way. If you're a man in the house, you understand. If you're a lady, you're looking at some man going, yeah, that's weird. Amen. So if you're struggling in your marriage, you don't want to throw away the marriage of 13 years, because the same problems that you have in this marriage, you're going to bring to the next one, because you didn't deal with the batteries. You didn't deal with the guts of the grill. I could keep going. I have a buddy who traded up a car because it needed a new alternator, so he just bought a new one. You get the same story there. I mean, we just keep going. And so every week we've been working on kind of doing some really practical stuff that works for all kinds of relationships rather than being really particular. And last week we did this kind of foundational picture from Ephesians 5 that you have to work on you as the foundation, because you're the common denominator in every relationship that you have. And if you don't get that foundation right when you're building something, guess what happens? None of the pieces fit right. And so we looked at 8 individual things that we could work on for ourselves. And Trick, I gave you a 9th bonus one, and that's the thing that we're going to unpack in its whole today. And that tool is gratitude. The attitude of gratitude. The tool of gratitude. It shifts all relationships. So it's kind of this thing that if you get this one tool, it affects every single relationship that you could possibly have. And so I've titled today's message, Rubber and Glue. Everybody say rubber and glue. You know that old saying, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. You guys know what I'm talking about? Who said that as a kid at some point? Who laughed at the kids that said that at some point? It's okay, I'm not judging you right now, but you have problems. But that's today's message, rubber and glue, because we need to correctly understand what needs to bounce off of us and what needs to stick to us. Does that make sense, where we're headed? Okay, so let's just jump right in. In Proverbs chapter 11, verse 27, if you have your Bibles, you can follow along. It will be on the screen. Or if you're a compulsive note taker and you want all of the details to today's message, you can go to wayfinders.info, click the message. You can write notes directly in there, and you can email them to yourself to archive them for a later date, should you want to review that. So here we go. Let's look at it. The one who seeks good finds delight, but the student of evil becomes evil. The one who seeks good finds delight, but the student of evil becomes evil. Those who study the brain, and we have some psychologists that are actually in the church that have had some training, they'll understand this. They say that we are born with a negativity bias. With a negativity bias. And essentially, if you are weighing all of your experiences, what that means is that you have good experiences and you have negative ones. So the things that are hard, that are difficult, that are bad, that happen to us, when it gets on the scale of importance, it's like somebody's thumb or elbow or extra foot is pressing into that scale. And so that the number you see is actually elevated from the reality, but that's the way your brain comprehends what's going down. It's extra weight. When it comes to relationships, we tend to put extra weight with that negativity bias on negative interactions. Think about how that makes so much sense. You ever read online reviews? The people that are writing negative reviews are writing pages of junk. The people that it was great. That's the end of the review. It's because if it's really good, it doesn't necessarily hold the same weight as if it was really bad, right? It's like the guy who says, you don't want to fly that airline, they lost my luggage, and they hold that grudge, and they tell that story, and they say what they had to wear days and what they were flying and how in the end they had to dispose and discard of all their clothing with a utensil because it smelled so bad. They were on that trip, and so now they never fly that airline, and they recommend you don't too. Anybody got a friend like that? With me, it's AT&T. I had to buy a new phone because I jumped in the pool on the 4th of July with my phone in my pocket, and this was long before iPhones had water resisting. It's not waterproofing, water resisting. They didn't have that. And so I put it in the rice. The rice didn't work. Went to the Best Buy because it's the Best Buy. And I got myself a new phone. And the guy at the counter said, oh, if you get this new phone, it's only $15 a month. I said, oh, fantastic. I'll get that new phone. And, their contracts are printed out on the LCD screen about like this. And it's 27 pages. So you just press accept and sign. And you don't actually read it. Well, I got a bill 4 days later, no problem. I got a bill 34 days later. And my bill was almost $52 higher than what I got told my bill was going to be. I called AT&T. I was like, what's the deal here? He said, well, you had to start a new line to get that phone at that price, and there's an access charge on that line of $40 extra for that phone to access your data. That's not what was told to me at the store, so we need to make this right. Well, sir, did you sign the contract? Yeah. It was on an LCD screen. It was 27 pages. I didn't read it. Would you read it? He goes, no, I've never read that either. Okay, so we need to make this right. I'm sorry, sir. You're 2 days past the grace period. We could have refunded your money and taken back the phone 2 days ago, but you're past that, and you're locked into this contract. I said, let me talk to your supervisor. An hour goes by of getting phoned up to whatever the next person is. Sure, they're just passing the phone around AT&T. Hey, Bob! This is funny, right? Whew. I remember what I was doing on that phone call because it took so long. I had to drive to my friend Dustin's house, and I drove the 35 minutes with my earbuds in the whole time. And like by the time we got to the end, I was like, no, just cancel everything. But I had Uverse internet, I had phone, I had TV, the whole thing. AT&T had it all, and I'd been with them for 11 years. I canceled everything. Right? I remember that experience because it's negative. The feeling that you get, you hold it. When negative things happen to you, you can remember what you were wearing, who said what, how they said it, how it made you feel. That negative bias is putting more weight on it. You guys tracking? Awesome. So, in a relationship, when we do that, it causes all kinds of problems. And what it does is that it tends to, in relationship, tends to overestimate the bad things that happen to us and underestimate the good things that happen to us. And it kind of comes into a vicious cycle because, why? Well, let's go back to that verse. Let's read the first part of that verse again. The one who seeks good finds delight. This is a major point. You're going to find what you're looking for. You're going to find what you're looking for. Why? Your brain is designed to help you out. It chunks information into habits to put you on autopilot so you can conserve the most energy possible. That's the way your brain is wired. Let's give you a concrete example here. How many of you think back to the last time you bought a car? If you haven't ever bought a car, I'm sorry. I'm going to describe an experience that's going to happen to you. Think back to the last time you bought a car. You started researching your car. You started looking at pictures. You wanted to get the exact details right. You started pricing it on Kelly's Blue Book. You went to Auto Trader and Craigslist. You visited CarMax. You started dreaming about this car at night until you pulled the, unless you just randomly went into a place and bought a car that you didn't plan on. But most of the time, you're doing all that, and your brain, right, is seeing this car. Well, after you get into it, what did you notice? We just bought a new Explorer. I mean, new to me, not new, but new to me, right? And what did I notice after we got the Explorer? Man, seems like everybody drives an Explorer. Like, were there this many Explorers on the road before? Like, she's in one, he's in one. Oh, that's a black one. We should have got black. Oh, there's a white one. Wow, I've known them for a year and a half. I didn't know that's what they drove, right? And you see it everywhere. It's the same reason why you get on autopilot. You ever drive home? And you're like, how did I get home? The other day, we're driving, and I'm driving. Holly's there, and Holly's like, hey, swing by the mailbox on the way home. Oh, yeah, okay. I'll swing by the mailbox. Autopilot. I'm going home. Pull in the driveway. You said we were going to go to the mailbox. Like, what? Oh, yeah, I said that. Wait. Sorry. Right? We chunk our habits together. And so what happens is what you're seeking for, you're going to find. If you're seeking negativity, if you're already thinking about how someone is going to hurt you, if you're looking, like if you know your brother is always rude and you're presuming that they're always rude, guess what's going to happen? You're going to speak the truth. It will be a reality for you. If your customer is always inconsiderate, your brain is going to look for ways to interpret someone being inconsiderate. And so this affects every single relationship that you have. Whatever you're seeing, you're going to see more of it because your brain is looking for it, and it's going to prove you right. But that's not the only problem. In this process, right? Not only if you seek good will you find it, but the second part of that verse, let's go back to it. It's on there. In the end, you look like what you look for. Everybody say it with me. The student of evil, what's that word? Becomes evil. Now that's scary because you want to become very careful becoming a student of how mean and nasty the world is to you, because you end up being characterized by what you're studying. You end up looking like what you look for. You become characterized by what you are preoccupied with. So if you're setting off on your day at work, or you're going to the family reunion, or there's a conversation coming up with your spouse or with your family, or your boss is going to come in on Friday at 4 and give you a project that makes you stay an extra 3 hours, and you're already looking for reasons to be hurt, assuming the worst, looking for ways that you were treated badly, you'll be right. But here's the thing, you'll be doing it too, and it'll be even worse because you'll be oblivious. Here's what happens when you start looking like, oh, you're going to treat me badly, you're going to hurt me. All of the sudden, you have this urge to beat people to the punch. If you think this person is so annoying, I can't believe they're so needy, every time I'm around them, it's just this and it's just this. You know what? If you're perturbed and you're feeling that and you're preoccupied with, are you going to be at your best when you walk into that interaction? No. So because you're not at your best, you are going to actually try to, ha-ha! And you're going to be doing that without even realizing that you're doing the same thing. That's the reason why we can be in the store yelling at our kids to calm down when it's really us who has the problem. That's why we're yelling. Because of our own insecurities. Do you see? And here's what happens. The sins that you deal with always look uglier on somebody else, don't they? They always look uglier on somebody else. And so because you're looking for it, you've pre-decided what the outcome will be. They will be annoying. Guys, I want to let you in on a secret. You can't be a victor and a victim at the same time. You can't be a victor and a victim at the same time. And so we've got to take on the tool of gratitude. And here's how it kind of works. This is a spray rubber. It bonds to surfaces, and you spray it on there, and it becomes kind of slippery and bouncy. I don't know if it's what Clark Griswold developed from his company when they sprayed it on the sled and went sliding at Christmas. But what we've got to do, what the attitude of gratitude does, is it coats us so that we can bounce and reject the things that need to bounce away from us, that need to slide off of us, that need to go away. And then we need to get glue. And I almost brought the super glue up here, but last time I played with super glue, I super glued my fingers together, and that was a fun experience. But think about it. Think about the things, when we have the attitude of gratitude, when we have that into our soul and into our veins, then when insults come, when unjust criticism comes, when people are rude or selfish or needy or passive-aggressive or hostile, here's what gets to happen. That bounces right off of us because we've been coated with the attitude of gratitude, and we have the ability, as 1 Peter 4:8 says, what does it say? It says, love covers a multitude of sins. So that attitude of gratitude is going to bring in a love, and all of a sudden we're going to be asking God for greater compassion, greater love, greater mercy. We're going to be asking God into those relationships. And here's what you're going to, instead of having that negative interaction, you're going to see that person, and they're going to be needy, and they're going to hurt you, and they're going to say some things that you're like, man, that is so stupid. They're going to say it, but you're going to see thought bubbles that say, hey, I'm feeling really unvalued right now. Hey, I don't feel like I fit in. Hey, I'm feeling really alone. You're going to see what people are actually thinking. You're going to be able to speak the grace of God, and you're going to get sticky with the glue. You're going to get sticky with God's presence. Look at Proverbs 15:15. It's just a couple of pages over here in my notes. It says, a miserable heart means a miserable life, but a cheerful heart fills the day with what? Man, that's good. Guys, hurt people, right? but healed people can heal people. And so if you have this cheerful heart, if you have the attitude of gratitude because the presence of Christ's Spirit is in you, giving you love, helping you cherish the people around you, all of the sudden, now it fills that heart with song and you can begin the healing process. So, what do we need to pour some glue on? The beauty is anything you pour glue on becomes sticky. Now, there's actually a warning label on here that says, please don't eat it. Don't eat the glue, don't sniff the glue, but you can use the glue to make some things sticky. So what do we need to create and make more sticky with the attitude of gratitude? Who do you need to write that thank you note for? Who do you need to say thank you to? I mean, think about it this way, from little stuff to big stuff. What about this? We complain if there's a hair in our meal, right? Take it back, we complain. How many of us call the chef or the manager and say, this meal was the bomb diggity, thank you so much, you killed it, right? We don't do that because what sticks out is the negative. And so we want to become sticky with gratitude, and we want to create a greater weight in gratitude to offset that negativity bias. I have some questions that are going to be helpful. You guys ready for some questions? They're in wayfinders.info if you need them later. But here we go. Has someone done something for you that you haven't thanked? Like, has someone blessed you? Like, has someone gone out of their way to do something, help you, and you haven't even thanked them yet? Or how about this one? Has someone done something a bunch of times, maybe over and over again, that you need to thank in a new and a fresh way? Right? That in a new and a fresh way. Think about this. Think about what negativity does over time. If it keeps pressing the scale, how much more weight has to be undone with the attitude of gratitude? And maybe let's just take it this way. Who does your laundry? Maybe you do the laundry for everybody in your house. Maybe somebody else does the laundry for you. But they do it over and over and over again. And the only communication about the laundry is when something goes wrong. I asked you to wash that special shirt so that I could wear it, and you missed it. I asked you to pick up my dress at the dry cleaning, and you didn't, and now I can't wear it tonight. That's when the communication comes out, not when they're doing things all the time over and over again. And so maybe we need to thank someone in a fresh way. Or what about this? Has someone, would someone that has blessed me, that has done something for me, do more of it if I thanked them, if they only knew they were valued in the process? Imagine what would happen, because people repeat what they get praised for, don't they? When you get an attaboy, when you get from someone that means something to you, when you get thank you so much, doesn't it like, oh yeah, no problem, I'd do that again, anytime. I'd give you the shirt off my back. Because we need to continue to encourage, to bless in those moments that we're not aware of. Or this last question, who in my life helps me that I may be taking advantage of? Who in my life blesses me that I may be taking advantage of? You know the reason why we're doing a love blitz to the teachers here? Because they're investing in our kids, and how thankless is their job, right? Who in your life has poured into you, poured into your kids, done something? Maybe it's a mother-in-law, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's whatever. What are we going to do to pour gratitude back into them? Here's the thing with that. It may come exactly on point. They may get that card, that note, that kind word on the moment that they think they're a failure, they're not going to continue doing this, it's not worth it, it's too hard, and they feel like, and then all of a sudden you show up with this card saying, you're the bomb. And tears start going down their face because somebody is recognizing what they're doing. And I'm not talking about flattery, because flattery is for you, right? And offends someone else. I'm talking about gratitude, which is for someone else, but in the end, it blesses you. Can I say this? As a body, could we be benefit finders and fault forgetters? Could we be benefit finders and fault forgetters? In the process of relationships, if you're always finding benefits and always pointing that out, it's going to go a long way to reversing that negative bias. I want to be really practical for a minute. I have an iPhone, right? It's been on the table the whole time. You need to take the iPhone off the table. One of the journals of environmental behavior says there's something called the iPhone effect. And basically, you don't even have to be on it. If you're in a relationship, hold on, let me just check my Twitter feed. Oh, hey, I got 3 new followers. Yeah, you don't even have to be on your phone. If it's just on the table, the iPhone effect says that there is a diminished quality of conversation, that you have a reduced capacity of empathy or to be present. In fact, they said something about something called polyconsciousness. Now, somebody smarter than me probably has to figure that out. I know enough to know that poly means many and consciousness means what you're thinking about. And so basically, what I understood of the journal that I did not really understand all that much of was that if you even have the iPhone on the table in front of someone else, your mind is thinking about the next text message, the next notification, and you are completely distracted as if to say, I love you. Now, I'll be with you guys in a second. I love you. Oh, I want to do that. And so you're not fully there. And if you're going to show ultimately gratitude to someone, you have to be fully present in the moment. So take the iPhone off the table. Put it in the bag. Put it somewhere else, not on your person. You want to be expressing full gratitude, especially to those who matter most to you? Put the iPhone away. Can I get an amen on that one? Relationships are a lot like checking books. That's what I found out. The more that you invest in them, the more that you can draw from them. And the way that relationships appreciate is you keep investing in them. And as you do that, it makes you appreciate the relationship more. And that, my friends, is a pun about how things grow. Appreciate. The money appreciates. We appreciate the relationship. The relationship grows. It appreciates because you are appreciating the person in the relationship, but you're going to be transformed in the process because there's not a possible way to be grateful and miserable at the same time. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever been grateful and miserable at the same time? You can't do it. So let's finish with this. If you take the time to write down just 5 things in any given week, you take the time to write 5 things down that you are grateful for, your perceived happiness level will grow by 25%. You don't even have to send the thank you note. You're not even emailing. You're just writing it down for you. Your happiness will grow. But let's make it incredibly practical to finish. There's no way to make all relationships rosy, right? The problems and the challenges are going to come. That negative bias is real. The issues are going to show up. And there is a psychologist who's kind of a Jedi. His name's John Gottman. And supposedly, he has this ability to predict whether or not somebody's going to get a divorce by watching 3 minutes of video. And he can watch that, and in those 3 minutes, depending on the ratio of interactions from positive to negative, he can tell you with a 98% accuracy whether or not you will make it or at some point divorce in the future. Now, applied to all relationships, someone asked him, so what's those ratios look like? And he said, well, it's all about negative and positive behavior. So the negative he describes, and I wrote it down so that I don't mess it up, he describes as content, disgust, criticism, dirty looks, eye rolls, hostility, anger, whining. You guys get all that? You have those in your relationship? And the positive, right? He says affection, so a kind touch or word, a smile, sympathy, empathy. In other words, it's body language and words that are positive or negative. And the ratio that leads to 100% divorce is 0.8 positive to 1 negative. They said, well, what's the magic number to like keep it all positive? He said, if you the right relationship with anyone, doesn't matter, spouse relationship, just across the board, it's 5 to 1. 5 positive behaviors to the 1 negative, because that bias is so strong. Now, some of you, I can see it already, you're thinking, oh, well, if I say 5 really nice things, I've earned the right to give a smackdown. That is not the way to think about this. It is like, that's not. What we want to do is we want to understand there's already a negativity bias, and so we want to tip the scales. So it's not just, I'm going to do 5 so I can give 1. It's you're going to be positive all the time, because that negative is already there. And it doesn't even have to be that you that does it. It could be circumstances that do. And so we want to offset that negativity bias, because love covers a multitude of sins. We want to show gratitude to everyone that we are in relationship with. And while we're at it, maybe we should start by showing gratitude to God. Because if your soul is right, if you're thanking God for saving you, for giving you breath and life, if you're awakening to what God is doing that is good in the world, that already starts putting you on the right path to see how God is opening up opportunities in every relationship to speak gratitude. Can I get an amen, my friend?